Hello everyone. Today we are going to discuss the important topic that is a beta blocker. So I, Dr. Tushar Bayati, welcome you all. First we will see about the classification of beta blocker, then their actions on various body systems, then their adverse effects, contraindications and indications or uses. Now, as you know, there are three types of beta receptors in the body: beta 1, beta 2 and beta 3. The beta 1 receptors are mainly located on the heart, beta 3 receptors on adipose tissue, while elsewhere beta 2 receptors are located. Elsewhere means in bronchi, in liver, in blood vessels, in uterus and certain other locations. So the drugs blocking are also divided accordingly. Those which are blocking both beta 1 and beta 2 receptor, means beta 1 in the heart and beta 2 elsewhere, they are called non-selective beta blockers, while those blocking only the beta 1 receptors located in the heart are called cardio-selective beta blockers, because they are not blocking beta 2 and beta 1 are located only in the heart. That's why they are also called as a cardio-selective beta blockers. So non-selective beta blockers, those blocking beta 1 and beta 2, are further subdivided into the three. First, having without intrinsic sympathomimetic activity. We will see the meaning of this in the coming discussion. The drugs having without intrinsic sympathomimetic activity are propranolol, which is a prototype of the beta blockers, sotalol and timolol. Okay, so the three drugs: propranolol, sotalol, timolol, with intrinsic sympathomimetic activity, or it is also called as a partial agonistic activity. The only drug from this category is pindalol. While apart from blocking the beta 1 and beta 2 both, certain drugs block alpha receptors also. So they have an additional alpha blocking property. And there are two drugs in this category: labetalol and carvedilol. Okay, so these three types of the drugs in non-selective beta blocker: without intrinsic sympathomimetic activity, with intrinsic sympathomimetic activity, and with additional alpha blocking property. While there are the certain cardio-selective beta blockers, as I discussed, the drugs are metoprolol, atenolol, acebutolol, bisoprolol, esmolol, betaxolol, celiprolol, and nebivolol. Okay, so as you can see, most of the beta blockers, they contains the lol in the end of their name. Okay, so these are the only cardio-selective or acting on the heart. Now beta blockers can be divided by classified by another way, that is a generation wise classification. Okay, so there are three generation: first generation, second generation and third generation. So what are these? So first generation are nothing but non-selective beta blockers, as we discussed earlier, that is those blocking both beta 1 and beta 2, okay, but no alpha blocking property. These are propranolol, timolol, sotalol and pindolol. Okay, so these first three having without intrinsic sympathomimetic property or without partial agonistic activity. Pindolol is having the partial agonistic activity. The second generations are nothing but our cardio selective beta blockers, that is only blocking the beta 1 receptor. The drugs are metoprolol, atenolol, acebutolol, bisoprolol and esmolol. While some of the drugs from this category of beta 1 selective have additional property of either the vasodilator property, okay, and there are some drugs from non-selective category we have seen they have alpha blocking property. They have been put into the third generation. So the drugs are labetalol and carvedilol. As you can see, these we have put in the earlier classification as a with additional alpha blocking property. So they are put into the third generation. While these three drugs which are having only beta 1 blocking property, they have been put into the third generation because of additional vasodilator property like celiprolol, nebivolol and betaxolol. Generally, beta blockers, as they block the beta 2 receptor, they can cause the vasoconstriction. But these beta blockers have something different, that is they are causing the vasodilatation instead of causing the vasoconstriction. Okay, so there is something different in this. Labetalol and carvedilol causes vasodilatation because of their additional alpha blockade property, while celiprolol, nebivolol and betaxolol causes the vasodilatation by causing release of nitric oxide from the endothelium, which is the potent vasodilator. So they are causing vasodilatation not because of their beta blocking property, but because of their additional action on nitric oxide release. Now coming to the pharmacological actions of propranolol. So we will discuss the propranolol, which is a prototype drug, and most of the drugs they follow the actions of propranolol. With the exception of cardioselective, we will see what are they. So first action on the CVS, propranolol on the heart, it causes decrease in heart rate, force of contraction and cardiac output. As you know, beta 1 receptor stimulation increases heart rate, increases force of contraction and increases the cardiac output. Now we are blocking the beta 1, so all the parameters are decreased. So in short, propranolol will cause bradycardia and decrease in cardiac output. As the cardiac contractility is decreased, obviously cardiac work is also reduced and oxygen consumption of heart is also reduced. Coming to the coronary arteries, is generally the beta 2 receptor they are causing dilatation, so beta blockers they causes the blockade of coronary artery. But there is some difference in this blockade and reduction in the blood flow is only restricted to the subepicardial region. As you know, epicardium, myocardium and endocardium. So only in the subepicardial region this beta blocker causes restriction in the blood flow, while in subendocardial area, which is actually the site of ischemia, in angina patient or myocardial infarction patient, the perfusion or blood flow is not affected. That's why beta blockers can be safely used in a patient of asthma or myocardial infarction. So we know there are two types of angina, classical angina and variant angina. So in classical angina, where because of the reduction in the blood flow, the patient experiences the chest pain, these patients get benefit from beta blocker because beta blocker causes improvement in oxygen supply demand status. Okay, so there are two things, oxygen supply and oxygen demand. In classical angina, the demand is increased, okay, and supply is disturbed because the coronary arteries they have been blocked either because of atherosclerosis or formation of the atheromatous plaque. Okay, so diameter gets reduced. So beta blocker decreases the cardiac work and decreases the oxygen consumption, because of which demand of patient of oxygen is reduced, and these patients feel better, their chest pain is relieved and exercise tolerance is increased, because these patients even during the mild type of exercise they experiences the chest pain, because you know in exercise oxygen demand is increased and already these patients have reduced blood supply because of coronary atheromatous plaque. Okay, so beta blockers benefit this classical angina patient. And we will see in the adverse effect and contraindication the another type of angina, that is a variant angina. The beta blockers are contraindicated because in variant angina the pathology is not formation of atheromatous plaque, but it is the blockade of coronary artery due to coronary vasospasm. And if we are giving the beta blocker, they will additionally cause vasospasm. That's why in variant angina, or also called as a Prinzmetal's angina, beta blockers are contraindicated, but they can be given in classical or exertional angina. Next, the beta blocker also decreases the AV conduction. Okay, so conduction velocity is decreased, because of which there is a delay in the conduction, and because of this only the beta blockers are contraindicated or should be avoided in partial or complete heart block patient, because in heart block patient already the conduction velocity is decreased, and if you are giving the beta blocker they will additionally decrease it, so they should be avoided. The beta blockers at a high doses have a direct depressant and membrane stabilizing action. What is the meaning of this? The beta blocker additionally block the sodium channels also. because of which they can inhibit the depolarization and they can stabilize the membrane, resting membrane potential, and because of this they have a local anesthetic property or anti-arrhythmic property. They can prevent the arrhythmia or they can have a local anesthetic effect because of their action on blockade of sodium channel. So we'll see in the details in the coming slide. Next action in the cardiovascular system, apart from heart, there are blood vessels. So what is action on blood vessels of beta blocker? So now the non-selective beta blockers like propranolol, they initially increases the total peripheral resistance. You know how the total peripheral resistance increases? By causing the vasoconstriction. So beta blocker non-selective, they block beta 2 receptor. Okay, apart from beta 1, beta 2 receptors on the blood vessels generally causes vasodilatation. Now by blocking the beta 2 we are actually causing vasoconstriction, and when the vasoconstriction occurs blood supply gets reduced and total peripheral resistance gets increased, and because of which blood pressure also gets increased. Okay, but later on they decreases the cardiac output because they are decreasing the cardiac contractility. So they are increasing the total peripheral resistance but they are decreasing the cardiac output. And if we are giving the continued treatment or long term treatment, then what happens? The resistance vessels, or we also called as the arteries or arterioles, they gradually adapt to chronically reduce cardiac output and total peripheral resistance decreases later on. ये कैसे होता है? तो पहले जो ब्लड वेसल्स है उनका आप वैसोकंस्ट्रिक्शन कर रहे हैं, सो दे आर इंक्रीजिंग द वैसोकंस्ट्रिक्शन एंड इंक्रीजेस द टोटल पेरिफेरल रेजिस्टेंस, बट द सप्लाई फ्रॉम द हार्ट और पंपिंग फ्रॉम द हार्ट इज रिड्यूस, सो कार्डियक आउटपुट इज रिड्यूस. सो जो ब्लड वहां से जाने वाला है, पास होने वाला है, वो कम हो रहा है. ओके, सो व्हाट इज ब्लड प्रेशर? द प्रेशर exerted by the column of the blood on the wall of the blood vessels. भले ही आपने वैसोकंस्ट्रिक्शन कर दिया और टोटल पेरिफेरल रेजिस्टेंस इंक्रीज हो गया जिसकी वजह से बीपी इनिशियली इंक्रीज होता है, बट आपने साइमल्टेनियसली कार्डियक आउटपुट भी कम कर दिया तो ब्लड ऑटोमेटिकली कम जाएगा, बिकॉज ऑफ व्हिच द total peripheral resistance decreases later on and both systolic and diastolic blood pressure falls, and this is the most likely explanation of anti-hypertensive action of beta blockers. Remember, this is very confusing for the student and that's why it is commonly asked in the viva also that beta blockers, they block the vasodilatation or they block the beta 2 receptor, still they are useful in hypertension to decrease the blood pressure. So this is the possible explanation. First they increases the blood pressure by increasing the total peripheral resistance, but later on they reduces the cardiac output because of which total peripheral resistance decreases and also the blood pressure decreases. That's why beta blocker are anti-hypertensive drugs. What are the other mechanisms of anti-hypertensive action of beta blocker? These are the possible mechanisms or hypothesis. They reduces the noradrenaline release from sympathetic terminals due to blockade of beta receptor. Okay, there are certain autoreceptors which are blocked by this beta blocker which reduces the noradrenaline release. Next action, they decreases the renin release from kidney by blocking of beta 1 receptor. अब ये renin का function क्या होता है? So renin, it acts in the kidney and it causes the conversion of angiotensinogen into angiotensin 1, and then angiotensin 1 is converted into the angiotensin 2 with the help of S enzyme, angiotensin converting enzyme, and this angiotensin 2 causes vasoconstriction and increase in the blood pressure. Now these beta 1 receptors, if we are blocking them, then renin is not released. Okay, and if renin is not released, angiotensin 2 will not be produced, so there will be no vasoconstriction or increase in the blood pressure. In short, there is a decrease in blood pressure or vasodilatation. So this is the one of the additional mechanism for decreasing the blood pressure of beta blockers. And next is the central actions, means in the CNS by reducing the sympathetic outflow. So there are certain drugs like clonidine or methyl dopa which are called as a central sympatholytics. They have just similar actions like this. So beta blockers, when they act in the CNS, they reduces the sympathetic outflow, and because of which they decreases the blood pressure. Next mechanism or on the respiratory tract. So non-selective beta blockers like propranolol. As you know, on the bronchi, there are beta 2 receptors. So propranolol will block the beta 2 receptor and they will cause bronchoconstriction. That's why in a patient of asthma, the attack of asthma may be precipitated or worsen. So non-selective beta blockers like propranolol, they are contraindicated in asthma as well as in COPD patient. But if we have to use the beta blocker at all in asthma patient, then we can use the cardioselective beta blockers, those which are only blocking beta 1 receptor, okay, like atenolol or metoprolol, because they are not blocking beta 2 receptor, so they are not going to worsen the asthma and COPD patient. So that is the advantage of cardioselective beta blocker. Next, action on CNS. The drugs beta blockers causes behavioral changes, then forgetfulness. The patient generally tend to forget the things, increased dreaming, okay, and nightmares. But these occurs at a relatively high doses. But as far as the use is considered, the propranolol, it suppresses the anxiety in some short-term stressful situations. Okay, you know anxiety, what happens in anxiety? There is a palpitation, heart rate increase हो जाता है, दिल की धड़कन बढ़ जाती है, एंजाइटी जब होती है तब स्वेटिंग इंक्रीज हो जाता है, पेशेंट रेस्टलेसनेस हो जाता है. ओके, सो प्रोप्रेनोलॉल क्या कर रहा है? हार्ट रेट डिक्रीज कर रहा है, ब्रैडिकार्डिया कर रहा है, ओके, स्वेटिंग को भी डिक्रीज कर रहा है क्योंकि वो एड्रेनालिन को ब्लॉक कर रहा है, एड्रेनालिन के रिसेप्टर्स को, तो स्वेटिंग कम हो जाएगी, हार्ट रेट कम हो जाएगा, मीन्स पाल्पिटेशन, ट्रेमर, ट्रेमर भी कम करता है, पाल्पिटेशन, ट्रेमर और स्वेटिंग कम हो जाएगी, तो अपने आप द बीटा ब्लॉकर्स दे आर यूजफुल इन द एंजाइटी. Okay, so non-selective beta blockers like propranolol, they are useful in anxiety. Next action is on the local anesthetic. They are potent local anesthetic as a lignocaine because of their sodium channel blocking property, but they are not clinically useful because they can cause the irritation of cornea when they are injected. And the second thing, if we are giving the beta blocker either in the form of eye drops or some another injectable, then they will cause the loss of sensations on the cornea, because of which if any injury happens to the cornea, then our body will not going to prevent that, because हमें sensations ही नहीं होगा उस particular thing का, तो corneal injury chances are there. That's why these beta blocker, they are not useful as a local anesthetic in the cornea also and in the elsewhere in the body also. Elsewhere they are causing irritation, in the cornea corneal injury can happen. Okay, in the metabolic things, what the beta blocker causes, they increases the triglyceride and they increases the LDL HDL ratio. So this is somewhat not beneficial or harmful, because we know we want to decrease LDL and we want to increase the HDL, because HDL is a good cholesterol we consider and LDL is a bad cholesterol, but beta blockers are doing opposite. That's why in a patient having already increased LDL or triglyceride level, these beta blockers, they are less preferred, especially non-selective beta blocker. In metabolic, beta blockers also inhibit the glycogenolysis. Okay, so glycogenolysis means the breakdown of glycogen. So breakdown of the glycogen will not occur if we are giving the beta blockers in the heart, skeletal muscles and liver. Now why we require the glycogen breakdown? In the conditions of hypoglycemia, when the blood sugar decreases or glucose decreases, our body causes the glycogenolysis, which is the stored glycogen, okay, and that is converted into the glucose and the glucose level comes to normal. But beta blocker inhibit this by blocking beta 2 receptors in the liver. Okay, so beta 2 receptors in the liver, they are good or beneficial because they causes the increase in the blood glucose level during hypoglycemia. But if we are giving the propranolol, we are going to block them. That's why non-selective beta blockers like propranolol, they also should not be used in a diabetes patient स्पेशली दोज ऑन इंसुलिन, क्योंकि इंसुलिन हाइपोग्लाइसेमिया करता है। ओके, और डायबिटीज के पेशेंट में भी ऑलरेडी हाइपोग्लाइसेमिया हो सकता है अगर उसने डाइट्स वगैरह नहीं ठीक से लिया तो ऐसे पेशेंट में अगर आप बीटा ब्लॉकर्स दोगे तो हाइपोग्लाइसेमिया और ज्यादा हो जाएगा, इसलिए डायबिटीज पेशेंट्स में बीटा ब्लॉकर्स नहीं देते हैं। अगर देना ही है तो वी कैन गिव द कार्डियो सिलेक्टिव बीटा ब्लॉकर्स, क्योंकि वो सिर्फ बीटा 1 को ब्लॉक करेंगे, बीटा 2 रिसेप्टर्स जो लीवर पे है और स्केलेटल मसल पे उनको ब्लॉक नहीं करेंगे। ओके, also beta blockers can reduce the carbohydrate tolerance by decreasing the insulin release, insulin release भी कम कराते हैं, that's why they are not given in diabetes. Next action on skeletal muscles, propranolol inhibits the adrenergically provoked tremor, तो जो ट्रिमर्स होते हैं पेशेंट में, ओके, सो दिस ट्रिमर्स दे आर रिड्यूस बाय द एक्शन ऑफ बीटा ब्लॉकर बिकॉज दे आर ब्लॉकिंग द बीटा 2 receptor, and this action is actually useful in a patients of essential tremor or muscle tremor. What is essential tremor? ऐसे ट्रिमर्स जिनका कॉज हमें पता नहीं चल रहा है, ओके, द कॉज इज अननोन, इन सच अ पेशेंट्स द बीटा ब्लॉकर्स कैन बी यूजफुल. So this is the use, but the beta blockers tends to reduce the exercise capacity by decreasing the beta 2 mediated increase in blood flow to exercising muscle. जब भी हम एक्सरसाइज करते हैं हमारे मसल्स को ब्लड सप्लाई ज्यादा चाहिए, ओके, एंड दैट ऑकर्स बिकॉज ऑफ द बीटा 2 रिसेप्टर which are located in the muscles as well as blood vessels. okay, तो vasodilation होगा, blood vessels blood flow बढ़ जाएगा. लेकिन अगर आपने प्रोप्रेनोलॉल दिया है तो बीटा 2 रिसेप्टर्स ब्लॉक हो जाएंगे, तो जो एक्सरसाइज में मसल्स को ब्लड फ्लो इंक्रीज होना चाहिए वो नहीं होगा. दैट्स व्हाई नॉन सिलेक्टिव बीटा ब्लॉकर्स, they are not useful during the exercise also, and they are also not useful in a patient of peripheral vascular disease or also called as a PVD. okay, सो अगर देना ही है तो यहाँ पे भी हम कार्डियो सिलेक्टिव बीटा ब्लॉकर्स देंगे. सो इन जनरल वी हैव सीन सर्टेन कंडीशंस लाइक अस्थमा, डायबिटीज एंड पेरिफेरल वैस्कुलर डिसीज. देयर if we have to give beta blockers we should give cardio selective beta blockers because they are not going to block beta 2 receptor. लेकिन non selective beta blockers like propranolol should not be used. Next action on eye, beta blockers reduces the secretion of aqueous humor from the eye and they decreases the intraocular pressure or intraocular tension. That's why they are useful in the condition called glaucoma where intraocular pressure is actually increasing. Okay, so that is the use of beta blockers. Now coming to the advantages of cardioselective beta blockers over non-selective beta blockers. तो ये हमने देखे पिछले डिस्कशन में. Now we will revise them कि सिर्फ बीटा 1 रिसेप्टर को ब्लॉक करने का क्या एडवांटेज है rather than blocking both beta 1 and beta 2. Okay. So first thing, lower propensity to cause bronchoconstriction. So cardioselective beta blockers है तो वो बीटा 2 को ब्लॉक नहीं करेगा जो ब्रोंकाई पे है, तो ब्रोंकोकंस्ट्रिक्शन नहीं होगा. तो cardioseletive blockers can be safely used in the patient of asthma and COPD, but it is written even these drugs should be avoided in asthmatics and COPD. क्योंकि अगर हमें अस्थमा और COPD का पेशेंट है और उसको साइमल्टेनियसली कोई ऐसी कंडीशन है, मान लो हाइपरटेंशन है, तो वी कैन गिव अनदर ड्रग्स लाइक कैल्शियम चैनल ब्लॉकर्स और एस इनहिबिटर्स which are the anti-hypertensive drug. Why to give beta blocker? लेकिन if we have to give at all beta blockers, then we will prefer cardioselective beta blocker. So that is the first advantage. This is asked as a short note. What are the advantages of cardioselective or only beta 1 blocker over non-selective beta blockers? Second advantage is less interference with carbohydrate metabolism and less inhibition of glycogenolysis during hypoglycemia. मैंने आपको बताया हाइपोग्लाइसेमिया होता है तो बॉडी क्या करती है, ग्लाइकोजिनोलाइसिस करती है और ग्लूकोज इंक्रीज करती है. नॉन सिलेक्टिव दोगे तो ये नहीं होगा, तो हाइपोग्लाइसेमिया और ज्यादा वर्सन हो जाएगा, उसकी ब्लड शुगर और कम हो जाएंगी. बट इफ यू आर गिविंग कार्डियो सिलेक्टिव देन वी हैव एडवांटेज दैट लेस इनहिबिशन ऑफ ग्लाइकोजिनोलाइसिस एंड लेस इंटरफेरेंस विद कार्बोहाइड्रेट metabolism. That's why this drug can be safely used in the diabetes patient. Next advantage, lower incidence of cold hands and feet. Cold hands feet means क्या होता है कि हाथ पैर ठंडे गिर जाते हैं. Why? Because of decrease in blood supply to the muscles during exercise. बट अगर आप बीटा 1 ब्लॉकर्स देते हैं जो बीटा 2 को ब्लॉक नहीं कर रहे तो इसका इंसिडेंस कम हो जाएगा कोल्ड हैंड्स एंड फीट का. and also less chances of precipitating the Raynaud's phenomenon. Raynaud's disease is the one of the peripheral vascular disease जहाँ पे blood vessels vasoconstricted रहते हैं, उसकी वजह से ब्लड सप्लाई कम रहता है सभी बॉडी पार्ट को. ओके, तो ऐसे में अगर आप कार्डियो सिलेक्टिव बीटा ब्लॉकर्स दोगे तो ये बेटर रहेगा एज कंपेयर टू नॉन सिलेक्टिव बीटा ब्लॉकर्स. नेक्स्ट एडवांटेज, दे हैव अ लेस डिलीटरियस इफेक्ट ऑन ब्लड लिपिड प्रोफाइल. हमने देखा प्रोप्रेनोलॉल जो नॉन सिलेक्टिव है वो ट्राइग्लिसराइड भी बढ़ा रहा है और एलडीएल बढ़ा रहा है और एचडीएल को कम कर रहा है. बट दीज ड्रग्स like metoprolol or atenolol which is cardioselective, they have less deleterious effect on blood lipid profile. तो ये ट्राइग्लिसराइड्स को कम बढ़ाएंगे और एलडीएल को भी कम बढ़ाएंगे, सो दे आर बेटर. लेस लायबल टू इम्पेयर द एक्सरसाइज कैपेसिटी, ये भी हमने देखा कि ब्लड फ्लो कम नहीं करेगा मसल्स को तो एक्सरसाइज कैपेसिटी कम नहीं होगी इंडिविजुअल की. बट दे आर इनइफेक्टिव इन सप्रेसिंग द एसेंशियल ट्रेमर, क्योंकि ट्रेमर अगर हो रहा है तो हमें बीटा 2 रिसेप्टर्स को ब्लॉक करने वाला ड्रग चाहिए. तो ये डिसएडवांटेज है एक्चुअली, ये एडवांटेजेस में नहीं आएगा, ये डिसएडवांटेज है. दे आर इनइफेक्टिव इन सप्रेसिंग द एसेंशियल ट्रेमर. Now we have seen in the classification certain beta blockers have partial agonistic or intrinsic sympathomimetic activity like pindolol from non-selective and celiprolol and acebutolol from cardioselective. तो इसका मतलब क्या होता है, आपने जनरल फार्मेक में पढ़ा है एगोनिस्ट होता है, एंटागोनिस्ट होता है और तीसरा होता है पार्शियल एगोनिस्ट. एगोनिस्ट मीन जो रिसेप्टर को फुल्ली स्टिमुलेट कर रहा है, एंटागोनिस्ट मीन जो रिसेप्टर को फुल्ली ब्लॉक कर रहा है. Partial agonists are in between, they are neither blocking the receptors completely neither stimulating that completely, so they have a in between activity. सपोज 0 to 1 अगर एक्टिविटी है तो इनकी एक्टिविटी ना ही 0 है ना ही 1 है, ये दोनों के बीच में रहेगा. सो दे एक्टिवेट द बीटा 1 एंड बीटा 2 रिसेप्टर्स सब मैक्सिमली. ओके, अब इसका क्लिनिकल यूज क्या है, तो कभी कभी बीटा ब्लॉकर्स हम जब देते हैं तो अगर मान लीजिए नॉर्मल हार्ट रेट इज 100, सो आफ्टर गिविंग द बीटा ब्लॉकर्स like propranolol or other beta blockers, the heart rate gets drastically reduced if the patient is sensitive to beta blocker. okay, जनरली इतना नहीं होता है, जनरली अगर 100 है तो बीटा ब्लॉकर देने के बाद 80 या 90 पे आएगा. बट इफ द पेशेंट इज सेंसिटिव द ब्लड हार्ट रेट कैन कम टू द 20, 30 और इवन 40 which is dangerous. okay because the patient is sensitive to the beta blocker. In such a patient who are sensitive to beta blocker, we can give the drug having partial agonistic activity. So they will decrease the heart rate, but the heart rate will not come to the 20, 30, 40. It will come in between to some like 50, 60 or 70 because they are not directly blocking them. They are only some maximally stimulating or they are blocking half or little bit. Okay. So these beta blockers they are preferred in those who are prone to severe bradycardia, especially elderly patients and sick sinus in already where the heart rate is decreased. Okay, the sick sinus is condition where there is a heart block or conduction velocity is decreased, or a patient with low cardiac reserve. What is another advantage of drug having partial agonistic or intrinsic sympathomimetic activity? इंट्रिंसिक सिंपैथोमाइमेटिक का मतलब क्या है, इंट्रिंसिक मीन्स इंटरनली और सिंपैथोमाइमेटिक मीन्स स्टिमुलेटिंग द सिंपैथेटिक सिस्टम. मीन्स ये है एक्चुअली ब्लॉकर्स लेकिन स्टिमुलेट भी कर रहे हैं सिंपैथोमाइमेटिक सिस्टम को. ओके, दैट्स व्हाई दे आर पार्शियल एगोनिस्टिक. नेक्स्ट एडवांटेज क्या है, विड्रॉल इज लेस लाइकली टू एग्जैजरबेट हाइपरटेंशन और एंजाइना. जनरली हम हाइपरटेंशन या एंजाइना में अगर बीटा ब्लॉकर देते हैं तो हमें बेनिफिट मिलता है, उसका ब्लड प्रेशर कम हो जाता है और एंजाइना में भी उसको चेस्ट पेन से रिलीफ मिलता है. लेकिन अगर आपने सडनली एक दिन स्टॉप कर दिया बीटा ब्लॉकर्स तो पेशेंट को वापस से हाइपरटेंशन और वापस से एंजाइना हो सकता है और इट में बी डेंजरस इन सम पेशेंट. लेकिन अगर आपने पार्शियल एगोनिस्टिक ड्रग दिए हैं तो ये जो विड्रॉल होने के चांसेस है मींस रीबाउंड इंक्रीज इन हाइपरटेंशन और एंजाइना दैट इज लेस, क्योंकि ये क्या हो रहा है कि ये सब मैक्सिमली ब्लॉक कर रहा है, पूरा ब्लॉक नहीं कर रहा है. तो इसलिए आपने अगर उसको निकाल भी दिया, एक दिन स्टॉप भी कर दिया सडनली, तो भी पेशेंट को इतना ज्यादा ब्लड प्रेशर इंक्रीज नहीं होगा और एंजाइना भी इतना ज्यादा नहीं होगा. प्लाज्मा लिपिड प्रोफाइल इज ऑल्सो नॉट और लेस वर्सन जस्ट लाइक कार्डियोसेलेक्टिव ब्लॉकर, but these drugs are not effective in migraine prophylaxis. ओके, बीटा ब्लॉकर्स का एक यूज है हम देखेंगे माइग्रेन में दिए जाते हैं फॉर प्रोफाइलेक्सिस. माइग्रेन में हमें क्या होता है कि हेडेक हो जाता है, especially to the half portion of the head. Because of why this happens? Because of vasodilatation. इसलिए हम ऐसे ड्रग देते हैं जनरली जो वैजो कॉन्स्ट्रिक्शन करेंगे. लेकिन बीटा बीटा ब्लॉकर्स लाइक पार्शियल एगोनिस्टिक, they rather than causing vasoconstriction they dilate the cerebral blood vessels, so that's why they are not effective in migraine prophylaxis. Also they are not suitable for secondary prophylaxis of myocardial infarction. नाउ कमिंग टू द अनदर एक्टिविटी, मेम्ब्रेन स्टेबिलाइजिंग एक्टिविटी. तो हमने देखा था कि मेम्ब्रेन स्टेबिलाइजिंग एक्टिविटी मींस ब्लॉकेड ऑफ सोडियम चैनल्स और उसके वजह से बीटा ब्लॉकर्स में एंटी एरिथमिक एक्शन होता है. लेकिन ऑल बीटा ब्लॉकर्स दे डोंट हैव द मेम्ब्रेन स्टेबिलाइजिंग प्रॉपर्टी. ओनली सर्टन लाइक प्रोप्रेनोलॉल, ऑक्सप्रिनोलॉल, एसिबिटोलॉल, and there are other two drugs like labetalol and pindolol which have a membrane stabilizing property, because of which these drugs can be useful in arrhythmia. But the propranolol have a maximum membrane stabilizing property. This is a MCQ. Propranolol have a maximum local anesthetic or maximum membrane stabilizing property among all the beta blockers. Coming to the next property of certain beta blockers are lipid insoluble or they are water soluble in our other hand, and certain are lipid soluble. So which are the lipid insoluble means they are water soluble because they can easily excreted from the kidney. Okay, which are these drugs? Atenolol, nadolol and sotalol. You can remember there's a ANS. हम ANS सीख रहे हैं तो ANS से आप remember कर सकते हैं कि these are lipid insoluble or in short water soluble. Atenolol, nadolol and sotalol. Another MCQ, nadolol is the longest acting beta blocker among all, while esmolol is the shortest acting. Okay. Now इसका एडवांटेज और डिसएडवांटेज क्या हो सकता है? अगर लिपिड इनसोल्यूबल है दे आर लेस लाइकली टू प्रोड्यूस स्लीप डिस्टर्बेंसेस एंड नाइटमेयर्स एज लेस अमाउंट रीचेस इनटू द सीएनएस. क्योंकि सीएनएस में अगर जाना है तो इट शुड बी लिपिड सोल्यूबल सो एज टू क्रॉस द ब्लड ब्रेन बैरियर. But these drugs are lipid insoluble, so they do not cross the blood-brain barrier. So these adverse effects are less. Okay, sleep disturbances and nightmares. But they are incompletely absorbed by oral route, and they are primarily excreted by kidney, and they are longer acting. Okay, longer acting है 6 to 20 hours उनका half life है. But they should be avoided in renal failure. क्योंकि वेरी ऑब्वियस इफ द ड्रग इज लिपिड insoluble means it is water soluble, so there is no way that it is going to metabolize by liver, so it should be excreted from the kidney only, क्योंकि ग्लोमेरुलस से फिल्ट्रेट होगा और किडनी से एक्सक्रीट होगा. अगर किसी पेशेंट में रिनल फेल्योर है तो these drugs will not be filtered from glomerulus and they will accumulate in the body and will cause the side effect or toxicity. So in such a conditions of renal failure these drugs should not be used. Another thing, the drugs which are lipid soluble, they are metabolized by liver and they have shorter T half, that is 2 to 6 hours half life, so they can be safely used in the renal failure patient. So that is the advantage of lipid soluble drugs. Coming to the pharmacokinetics, these drugs are well absorbed from oral route. Okay, they have low bioavailability due to high first pass metabolism. Okay, this is not true with all. Those which are having the lipid soluble property, they can go to the liver and they have a high first pass metabolism, and because of which oral and parenteral dose ratio is 40:1. मीन्स अगर पैरेंटरली आपको 1 मिलीग्राम देना पड़ रहा है तो ओरली आपको 40 मिलीग्राम देना पड़ेगा, क्योंकि क्या है फर्स्ट पास मेटाबॉलिज्म ज्यादा है तो मेटाबॉलिज्म ज्यादा हो जाएगा, इसलिए डोज आपको ज्यादा रखना पड़ेगा. But one thing is that food increases the bioavailability of most of the beta blocker because the food decreases the first pass metabolism. Okay, तो food के साथ दिया तो ज्यादा अच्छा रहता है. The dose of the beta blockers, this is the dose of propranolol what we are discussing here, 10 milligram BD to 160 milligram QID. So very wide range of the dose. So it is a safer drug. बहुत ज्यादा डोज भी दे सकते हैं आप 640 मिलीग्राम तक, और स्टार्ट आप 10 to 20 मिलीग्राम से कर सकते हैं. ओके, नेक्स्ट कमिंग टू द ड्रग इंटरेक्शन, बीटा ब्लॉकर्स They causes the additive depression of sinus node, means SA node, and AV node if they are given with the drugs like digitalis and drugs like verapamil, which is a calcium channel blocker, because both these drugs can cause the decrease in conduction velocity, and beta blocker like propranolol is also causing the conduction velocity decrease. That's why these drugs, if given simultaneously, they can cause the cardiac arrest, so they should not be given simultaneously. Next, propranolol should delay the recovery from hypoglycemia in a patient who are on a insulin or oral anti-diabetic drug. Okay, so diabetes patient जिनको इंसुलिन या ओरल एंटी डायबिटिक ड्रग चल रहे हैं या ओरल हाइपोग्लाइसेमिक, propranolol should not be given, and we have discussed this. Okay, the first thing that it will inhibit the beta 2 receptor, because of which glycogenolysis will not occur, and second thing, हाइपोग्लाइसेमिया के जो वार्निंग साइंस होते हैं वो भी हमें पता नहीं चलते. सो वार्निंग साइंस ऑफ हाइपोग्लाइसेमिया which are mediated through sympathetic stimulation like tachycardia or tremor, they are suppressed. किसी को हाइपोग्लाइसेमिया होता है तो कैसे पता चलेगा? उसको हार्ट रेट इंक्रीज हो जाएगा, ट्रिमर्स आने लगेंगे, उसको स्वेटिंग होगा. लेकिन अगर आपने बीटा ब्लॉकर्स दिए तो ये सब साइंस आएंगे नहीं, क्योंकि ये ब्लॉक हो जाएंगे, टैकीकार्डिया ब्लॉक हो जाएगा, ट्रेमर ब्लॉक हो जाएगा, स्वेटिंग हो जाएंगे, तो वो हाइपोग्लाइसेमिया में चला जाएगा, उसकी शुगर बहुत ज्यादा कम हो जाएंगी, लेकिन उसको पता नहीं चलेगा. दैट्स व्हाई बीटा ब्लॉकर शुड नॉट बी गिवन इन डायबिटीज पेशेंट. दिस इज आस्क्ड एज अ शॉर्ट नोट. ओके, सो देयर आर टू रीजंस. Next, beta blockers should not be given with NSAIDs like painkillers, because the antihypertensive action of beta blocker is decreased by this drug. Next, coming to the adverse effects and contraindications of beta blockers. This is also a very important one. Propranolol can precipitate the CHF or edema, especially during acute or decompensated CHF. Okay. कंजेस्टिव हार्ट फेलियर दो टाइप का होता है, एक्यूट और क्रोनिक. तो एक्यूट जो होता है उसमें क्या होता है कि हार्ट फेल हो चुका है, तो कार्डियक आउटपुट कम हो चुका है, तो बॉडी अपने आप इंटरनली द बॉडी ट्राइज टू रिस्टोर द कार्डियक आउटपुट टू नॉर्मल, ओके, बाय इंक्रीजिंग कार्डियक कॉन्ट्रैक्टिलिटी. But if we have given the non-selective beta blockers or even cardioselective, they will decrease the cardiac contractility. और जो बॉडी ने इंक्रीज किया था कार्डियक कॉन्ट्रैक्टिलिटी ये सीएचएफ को ओवरकम करने के लिए, वो और ज्यादा कम हो जाएंगी. इसलिए एक्यूट सीएचएफ है, कंजेस्टिव हार्ट फेलियर, तो बीटा ब्लॉकर्स आर कॉन्ट्राइंडिकेटेड. लेकिन इफ द इट इज अ क्रोनिक सीएचएफ, बहुत ज्यादा दिनों से है कंजेस्टिव हार्ट फेलियर, या इट इज ऑल्सो कॉल्ड एज अ कॉम्पेंसेटेड सीएचएफ. See, however, when compensation has been restored, careful addition of certain beta 1 blockers is now established therapy to prolong the survival. तो chronic CHF में उल्टा beta blockers दिए जाते हैं. Okay, so they are one of the useful drug in chronic CHF, but should be avoided in acute CHF. Next, contraindication you can say is a bradycardia. तो adverse effect भी है, bradycardia हार्ट रेट डिक्रीज करते हैं, और अगर किसी पेशेंट में ऑलरेडी ब्रेडिकार्डिया है तो उसमें आपको बीटा ब्लॉकर्स नहीं देना है. नेक्स्ट, प्रोप्रानोलॉल वर्सन्स द सीओपीडी एंड अस्थमा, स्पेशली नॉन सिलेक्टिव बीटा ब्लॉकर्स लाइक प्रोप्रानोलॉल, सो दे शुड बी कॉन्ट्राइंडिकेटेड इन अस्थमा एंड सीओपीडी. अगर देना ही है तो कार्डियो सिलेक्टिव देना है. नेक्स्ट कॉन्ट्राइंडिकेशन, दे एक्साजर्बेट्स द वेरिएंट एंजाइना. ये भी हमने देखा कि वेरिएंट एंजाइना में कोरोनरी वैजोस्पाज्म होता है, और बीटा ब्लॉकर्स अगर दोगे तो ऑलरेडी जो वैजोस्पाज्म है वो और बढ़ जाएगा. इसलिए वेरिएंट एंजाइना में बीटा ब्लॉकर्स नहीं देंगे, बिकॉज दे ब्लॉक्स द डायलेटर बीटा 2 रिसेप्टर. और साथ में जो अल्फा रिसेप्टर्स है, तो आपने अगर बीटा रिसेप्टर्स को ब्लॉक कर दिया तो अल्फा रिसेप्टर्स वैसे रहेंगे, तो अल्फा रिसेप्टर्स कोरोनरी कॉन्स्ट्रिक्शन करते, तो उसकी वजह से कोरोनरी कॉन्स्ट्रिक्शन और बढ़ जाएगा. That's why beta blockers are not given in variant angina, but they are useful in classical angina. Next adverse effect, carbohydrate tolerance is impaired in pre-diabetics because they decreases the insulin release. Okay, so pre-diabetes का diabetes में होने के chances बढ़ जाएंगे if we are giving beta blocker. Then this beta blocker worsens the lipid profile. This we have seen. अगर हमें यूज करने हैं तो कार्डियो सिलेक्टिव बीटा ब्लॉकर्स यूज करने हैं, या जिनमें इंट्रिंसिक सिंपैथोमाइमेटिक एक्टिविटी या पार्शियल एगोनिस्टिक एक्टिविटी है वो यूज करने हैं, ताकि वो ट्राइग्लिसराइड्स और एलडीएल को ज्यादा बढ़ाएंगे नहीं और एचडीएल को बढ़ाएंगे, विच इज अ गुड कोलेस्ट्रॉल. Sudden withdrawal of propranolol can cause rebound hypertension and worsening of angina. This I have also explained in the coming earlier slides. They are contraindicated in partial and complete heart block. अगर already heart block है तो beta blockers are contraindicated because they decreases the conduction velocity through SA node and AV node. Then tiredness and reduced exercise capacity. This we have also seen because of blockade of beta 2 receptors which are situated in the muscles, as well as blockade of beta 2 receptors in the liver and blockade of glycogenolysis. Cold hands and feet एंड वर्सनिंग ऑफ पेरिफेरल वैस्कुलर डिसीज. अगर आप बीटा 2 रिसेप्टर्स मसल्स के ब्लॉक कर दोगे तो ब्लड सप्लाई कम हो जाएगा मसल्स को और हाथ पैर ठंडे हो जाएंगे. कोल्ड हैंड्स एंड फीट. ओके. एंड एक्सरसाइज कैपेसिटी कम हो जाएगी, पेशेंट्स को टायर्डनेस होगा और ऑलरेडी पेरिफेरल वैस्कुलर डिसीज अगर है लाइक रेनॉल्ड्स डिसीज तो पेशेंट को और ज्यादा वर्सनिंग हो जाएगी कंडीशन की. नाउ कमिंग टू द कॉन्ट्राइंडिकेशंस ऑफ बीटा ब्लॉकर्स. सो हमने जो देखे उसको अगर हमें समराइज करना है तो जो नॉन सिलेक्टिव बीटा ब्लॉकर्स है लाइक प्रोप्रेनोल, दे आर कॉन्ट्राइंडिकेटेड इन दिस थ्री कंडीशंस: अस्थमा, पेरिफेरल वैस्कुलर डिसीज एंड डायबिटीज. वाइल कार्डियो सिलेक्टिव हो या नॉन सिलेक्टिव हो, ये चार कंडीशंस में अवॉइड करने हैं या कॉन्ट्राइंडिकेटेड है. One is a bradycardia, acute or decompensated CHF, complete heart block and variant angina. Okay. Now coming to the uses of beta blocker, which is a very important part. So there are certain cardiac uses and certain non-cardiac uses. So you can say cardioselective beta blocker, those which are blocking beta 1 can be useful only in cardiac conditions, while non-selective can be useful in cardiac as well as non-cardiac conditions. So what are the cardiac uses? You can easily remember if you remember the names of chapters in pharmacology textbook. Okay, like hypertension, angina, MI that is myocardial infarction, CHF that is congestive heart failure, arrhythmia, hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy and aortic dissection. While coming to the non-cardiac uses, you can remember as a gamete P, glaucoma from G, A anxiety, M migraine, E essential tremor, T thyrotoxicosis and P pheochromocytoma. Okay, so you have to remember these uses. Now we will see them one by one. Coming to the first, beta blockers are useful in the hypertension to decrease the blood pressure. So they are one of the first choice drug as a anti-hypertensive drugs because of good patient acceptability, and they also have a cardioprotective potential. Okay, chances of arrhythmia, MI or CHF in hypertension patients, they are reduced. Next, use in the angina, but I have told you that they are useful only in classical angina or exertional angina, while they should be avoided in another variant angina or Prinzmetal's angina. So in classical angina, they decreases the frequency of attacks, that is a chest pain attacks, and they increases the exercise tolerance. तो जो पहले थोड़ा बहुत एक्सरसाइज करने के बाद पेशेंट को चेस्ट पेन होता था, अभी अगर वो हेवी एक्सरसाइज भी करता है, देन ऑल्सो ही विल नॉट एक्सपीरियंस द चेस्ट पेन, but this should be avoided in variant or Prinzmetal angina. Third is a cardiac arrhythmia. Why they are useful? Because beta blockers suppresses the extrasystoles and tachycardia, and they also control the ventricular rate in a patient of atrial fibrillation and flutter. Esmolol, which is the shortest acting beta blocker, which is MCQ asked, it is an alternative drug for paroxysmal supraventricular tachycardia, or also called as a PSVT, paroxysmal supraventricular tachycardia. Okay, adenosine is a drug of choice for this condition, but esmolol can be useful. Next, use of beta blocker in heart attack or myocardial infarction. They are useful for two purposes. First, for secondary prophylaxis of MI, मीन्स एक बार अटैक आ चुका है, अभी सेकंड अटैक आना नहीं चाहिए पेशेंट्स में. दैट्स व्हाई वी आर यूजिंग द बीटा ब्लॉकर्स. Why? Because beta blockers decreases the subsequent mortality by preventing the reinfarction and by preventing the sudden ventricular fibrillation which can occur at the subsequent attack of MI. So they prevent the chances of reinfarction. एक बार रीइंफाक्ट हो चुका है, वापस से रीइंफाक्ट होने के चांसेस कम कर देते हैं, एंड दे ऑल्सो प्रिवेंट द वेंट्रिकुलर फिब्रिलेशन. Second use of the beta blocker in the MI is a myocardial salvage during the evolution of MI. Attack has happened, and if we administer the IV beta blockers like metoprolol like drug within 4 to 6 hours, okay, followed by oral therapy, the beta blocker may limit the infarct size by reducing the oxygen consumption. जो infarct की size है उसको वो वहीं पे रोक देंगे. They are not allow it to spread in the surrounding endocardium or myocardium, okay, because they reduces the cardiac output and they reduces the oxygen consumption of the heart. Okay, तो जो हार्ट की मसल्स है उनका ऑक्सीजन कंजम्पशन कम कर देंगे. सो दे विल reduces the infarct size, and they also prevent the arrhythmia like ventricular fibrillation, because of which the chances of death are there in the MI patient. नेक्स्ट यूज इज डिसेक्टिंग एओर्टिक अन्यूरिज्म. अन्यूरिज्म का मतलब होता है जो आपका एओर्टा है वहां पे एक बलून जैसा स्ट्रक्चर फॉर्म हो जाता है बिकॉज ऑफ वीक वॉल ऑफ एओर्टा, एंड दैट फॉर्मेशन ऑफ बलून एंड that is called as an aneurysm, and that aneurysm may get ruptured and there is a bleeding or spillage of the blood into the surrounding structures or viscera, and the beta blockers help in this condition by reducing the cardiac contractile force and aortic pulsation. क्योंकि हार्ट से ब्लड जा रहा है एओर्टा में, अगर एओर्टा की वॉल वीक है और अगर आप ब्लड बहुत ज्यादा फोर्सफुली दे रहे हो तो वो एओर्टा की वॉल फट सकती है, रप्चर हो सकती है. सो दैट इज प्रिवेंटेड by beta blockers by reducing the aortic pulsation as well as by reducing the cardiac contractile force. Now nitroprusside, sodium nitroprusside is a drug which is generally added in this type of the condition. Next use of the beta blocker is congestive heart failure, and drugs like metoprolol, bisoprolol, nebivolol and carvedilol over the long term they can be useful in a patients of congestive heart failure with dilated cardiomyopathy. Overactivation of, now why they are useful in the congestive heart failure, because overactivation of cardiac beta 1 receptor they will accelerate the myocyte apoptosis, means जो हार्ट की सेल्स है उनकी डेथ हो जाती है, प्रोग्राम सेल डेथ apoptosis means because of overactivation, and the remodeling of heart happens. So if we are giving the beta 1 blocker in mild to moderate CHF patients, they will prevent the remodeling of the heart and they will prevent the myocyte apoptosis. So they are not only symptomatically improving the patient, but they are also retarding the progression of CHF and they prolong the survival of the patient. Okay, ज़्यादा साल तक पेशेंट जिंदा रह सकता है if we are giving the beta blockers in the CHF, because they are preventing the remodeling of the heart which is occurring because of beta 1 receptor effect on myocyte. Next use of the beta blocker is pheochromocytoma. So what is pheochromocytoma? It is a tumor of adrenal medullary gland which releases lot of catecholamines. Catecholamines like adrenaline, noradrenaline. Because of increased release of adrenaline and noradrenaline, the blood pressure is suddenly increased in these patients and they may have a hypertensive crisis. Now to control this, we have to give both a drug, both means alpha blocker and beta blocker, because adrenaline is causing vasoconstriction by acting on both alpha 1 and beta receptors. Okay, so beta blockers control the tachycardia and arrhythmia, but they should never be administered unless an alpha blocker has been given before, otherwise dangerous rise in blood pressure can occur. इसका क्या मतलब है, अगर आपने अल्फा और बीटा रिसेप्टर्स की वजह से ब्लड प्रेशर इंक्रीज हो रहा है, अगर आपने सिर्फ बीटा ब्लॉकर दिए तो एड्रेनालिन can still act on alpha receptor and it will cause the increase in the blood pressure. That's why we have to give both the drugs, alpha as well as beta blockers simultaneously, so that both the receptors are blocked and blood pressure will come down in a patient of pheochromocytoma. Next use is a thyrotoxicosis, means hyperthyroidism which is uncontrolled. So propranolol is useful in patient of thyrotoxicosis because it rapidly controls the sympathetic overactivity symptoms like palpitation, tremor, nervousness, sweating. All these symptoms are blocked or controlled by propranolol and it also inhibits the peripheral conversion of T4 to T3. आपको पता है थायराइड हार्मोन दो टाइप के T3 और T4. तो T4 इज इनएक्टिव एंड T3 इज एक्टिव. सो T4 को अगर एक्टिव बनाना है तो उसको T3 में कन्वर्ट करना पड़ता है. सो दैट T4 टू T3 कन्वर्जन इज इनहिबिटेड बाय प्रोप्रेनोलॉल. तो उसके वजह से हाइपरथायराइडिज्म या थायरोटॉक्सिकोसिस में रिलीफ मिलेगा, जिसको हम थायराइड स्टॉर्म भी बोलते हैं, थायरोटॉक्सिकोसिस को. ओके, एंड आल्सो बिकॉज ऑफ द ब्लॉकेड ऑफ सिंपैथेटिक ओवर एक्टिविटी सिम्टम्स लाइक पाल्पिटेशन, स्वेटिंग और नर्वसनेस. नेक्स्ट यूज ऑफ द प्रोप्रेनोलॉल इज इन द प्रोफाइलैक्सिस ऑफ माइग्रेन. ट्रीटमेंट ऑफ माइग्रेन में नहीं. हेडेक का अटैक आ चुका है तो नहीं देंगे, लेकिन अगर फ्यूचर में आना नहीं चाहिए, फॉर प्रोफाइलैक्सिस वी कैन गिव द प्रोप्रेनोलॉल in the migraine. In fact, it's a drug of choice for prophylaxis of migraine, okay, by oral route. Next use of the propranolol is essential tremor जिनका कॉज हमें पता नहीं है, तो प्रोप्रेनोलॉल बीटा 2 रिसेप्टर्स को ब्लॉक करेगा जो स्केलेटल मसल्स पे है, उसके वजह से ट्रेमर्स में बेनिफिट मिलेगा. ओके, और अगर साथ में एंजाइटी की वजह से हो रहा है तो प्रोप्रेनोलॉल आल्सो ब्लॉक्स और डिक्रीजेस द एंजाइटी. Next use of beta blocker is glaucoma, but here there are certain specific ocular beta blockers जो हमने अभी तक नहीं देखे, like टेमेलॉल, okay? टिमोलॉल और बिटेक्सोलॉल जो हमने देखा था, कार्डियो सिलेक्टिव है, तो टिमोलॉल और बिटाजोलॉल दे आर यूजफुल इन द ग्लॉकोमा, स्पेशली क्रोनिक सिंपल और वाइड एंगल ग्लॉकोमा. ग्लॉकोमा दो टाइप का होता है, एंगल क्लोजर ग्लॉकोमा और वाइड एंगल ग्लॉकोमा. तो वाइड एंगल ग्लॉकोमा में ऑक्यूलर बीटा ब्लॉकर्स ज्यादा प्रेफर करते हैं, बट दे कैन बी यूजफुल इन द एडजोवेंट एज अ सपोर्टिव इन एंगल क्लोजर ग्लॉकोमा आल्सो. ओके, next use of beta blocker is anxiety. So when the anxiety is because of nervousness or some panic condition, like अगर एग्जामिनेशन है उसके वजह से एंजाइटी हो रहा है, अनएकस्टम पब्लिक अपीयरेंस, सडनली आपको बोल दिया स्टेज पे जाके कुछ स्पीच दो या परफॉर्म समथिंग, then that is called as a performance related anxiety. In such a type of anxiety which is occurring because of sympathetic overactivity, that can be decreased or blocked by propranolol like drugs because it causes the blockade of peripheral manifestations of anxiety. क्योंकि वो palpitations कम कर देगा, हार्ट रेट को कम कर देगा, धड़धड़ कम हो जाएगी, दिल की धड़कन, ट्रेमर कम कर देगा. ओके, इसलिए एंजाइटी में बीटा ब्लॉकर्स यूज करते हैं. एंड लास्ट यूज इज अ हाइपरट्रॉपिक ऑब्स्ट्रक्टिव कार्डियोमायोपैथी. सो बीटा ब्लॉकर्स इंप्रूव द कार्डियक आउटपुट इन दिस पेशेंट during exercise by reducing the left ventricular outflow obstruction. Now coming to the last part of this lecture, some combined alpha plus beta blockers. So there are two drugs, one is a labetalol and second is a carvedilol. So what is labetalol? It is causing the blockade of beta 1, beta 2 and additionally alpha 1 receptor blockade. But on the other hand it is also stimulating the beta 2. तो बीटा 2 को ब्लॉक भी कर रहा है और स्टिमुलेट भी कर रहा है. इसका मतलब ये क्या है, पार्शियल एगोनिस्ट है. ओके, पूरी तरह ब्लॉक भी नहीं कर रहा है बीटा 2 को और पूरी तरह स्टिमुलेट भी नहीं कर रहा है. अभी व्हाट इट causes, it causes fall in the blood pressure, both systolic and diastolic blood pressure falls. Why? Because of the alpha 1 and beta 1 blockade. But at the same time it is causing beta 2 agonism, because of which vasodilatation will occur, and vasodilatation will also cause the blood pressure reduction. That's why this beta labetalol is useful in the patient of hypertension. So it is a moderately potent hypotensive means blood pressure कम कर रहा है, and it is especially useful in pheochromocytoma and clonidine withdrawal patient. तो जब ब्लड प्रेशर बहुत ज्यादा बढ़ जाता है इन ए पेशेंट ऑफ फियोक्रोमोसाइटोमा, या जिनमें क्लोनिडिन चल रहा था और हमने सडनली स्टॉप कर दिया, दैट इज कॉल्ड क्लोनिडिन विड्रॉल, ऐसे पेशेंट में labetalol इज यूजफुल. सो इट इज वन ऑफ द ड्रग विच इज प्रीफर इन हाइपरटेंसिव इमरजेंसीज, एंड इट कैन ऑल्सो बी यूजफुल इन इसेंशियल हाइपरटेंशन. और नॉर्मल हाइपरटेंशन के पेशेंट है जिनमें कॉज अननोन है, वहां पे भी आप labetalol यूज कर सकते हो. Next drug from combined alpha plus beta blocker is a carvedilol. So it is causing blockade of both beta 1 and beta 2, and apart from that alpha 1 receptor. So it produces the vasodilatation due to alpha 1 blockade property and it also has a calcium channel blocking property, because of which also causes the vasodilatation. And additionally, it is asked as MCQ, it has an antioxidant property, and because of this is useful in hypertension, as it is causing the vasodilatation and decreasing the blood pressure. And it is cardioprotective because of its antioxidant property. It is especially preferred in a patient of congestive heart failure. तो बाकी भी दे सकते हैं मेटाप्रोलॉल बिसोप्रोलॉल, लेकिन कार्बिडोलॉल प्रेफर किया जाता है बिकॉज वो कार्डियो प्रोटेक्टिव एक्शन है बिकॉज ऑफ एंटीऑक्सीडेंट antioxidant property. In the CHF carvedilol, we have to start with 3.125 milligram twice daily, and then we can increase the dose to the up to the 25 milligram twice daily. While in hypertension, we are starting with certainly high doses 6.25 milligram, and it can be increased to the same 25 milligram. So this is all about the beta blockers. To summarize the beta blockers, they are cardioselective, which are blocking only beta 1 receptor like metoprolol, atenolol or acebutolol. They can be non-selective, which are blocking both beta 1 and beta 2 like propranolol, sotalol. Certain beta blockers have a partial agonistic activity or intrinsic sympathomimetic activity like propranolol, like pindolol or acebutolol. So they can be useful in those patients who are prone to having bradycardia from beta blocker. Okay, and certain beta blockers, they have a membrane stabilizing property or local anesthetic property, so they can be useful as an anti-arrhythmic. Then coming to the uses of beta blockers, they are cardiac uses like hypertension, angina, MI, CHF, hypertrophic obstructive cardiomyopathy, aortic dissection. While in non-cardiac uses, it is the gamut, that is a glaucoma, anxiety, migraine, essential tremor, thyrotoxicosis and pheochromocytoma. Coming to the adverse event and contraindications, the non-selective beta blockers, they are contraindicated in asthma, PVD, peripheral vascular disease and diabetes, while both cardioselective and non-selective, they are avoided or contraindicated in bradycardia, in complete or partial heart block or sick sinus patient, as well as in acute CHF and variant angina. So thank you for patient listening.